Hello and welcome to Life Rhythms, Tarot, Food, and Spirit. So I'm here today trying to catch up a bit on the video response to Ethony and her hashtag 31 Days of Tarot. And I'm going to do, I think, days 8 through 13 and hopefully get ahead of the cart a little bit early in this coming week. But for now, in an effort to at least get a bit caught up, let's begin with day 8. And the question is, top 5 decks on my wish list now. And I'll be honest, I don't have any on my wish list. A lot of the decks that I've ended up acquiring in the last 8 months have been really inspired by things that I've seen on YouTube here with the community here, and things on pictures of cards from different decks on Instagram. And several of the decks I've been extremely lucky in acquiring because they've been either out of print or limited edition, so I've felt very fortunate with that. So I feel like a bit caught up with that, other than I'm waiting for a couple of decks to arrive. And I think there may be a similar question to Oracle decks coming up. So anyway, I'll just combine what I'm waiting to arrive, and one of them is coming from Kasia over at Wands Tarot Map, Wands of Transformation, and it's Tarot Droga, which is a deck that I think a friend of hers has created, and I'm really excited for that to arrive. And then also inspired by Kasia's channel, Tarot Map, the Red Seeds Oracle. I ordered that, and I'm excited for that to arrive. And I did pre-order the Supra Oracle from the UC group. And so those are the 3 decks that I'm awaiting. I've been considering ordering Sergio Topi's other deck, which is the Universal Tarots, and with an S at the end. So I'm deciding on that. The person that I was able to acquire the Tarot Origins from does have that deck, and I haven't seen it anywhere else. Maybe I shouldn't let the cat out of the bag, but I am, so I haven't pulled the trigger on it yet. It has been on my mind, though, so that might be a deck that I'm considering, but I guess I better hurry up and decide because somebody may be interested in it, and I'd say go for it, because if I don't do it and somebody else does it first, it wasn't meant for me. So that would be my answer to that question, in short. 2018 Tarot goals. And so for me, I mentioned this in one of my end of 2017 videos. It's definitely to gain more of an understanding of reading pip decks. So that's the long and short of it. In terms of reading and skill set, would definitely be to gain, I should actually say, an understanding, period, because I can read them intuitively, but I would really like to understand more of the history and the imagery and behind all of it. And yes, Tom Benjamin and his channel have been widely suggested to me, and I will be getting to that very shortly. Some of these absolute intentional goals are just slightly delayed. What am I saying delayed? We're only 2 weeks into January. It's so crazy how we get into this head of like, oh, I haven't done it yet. But yes, I get that head going, that voice going in my head too, for sure. Anyway, I'm aware that I'm not starting with any of that quite yet, because I'm working on a wellness project for a client, which is a wonderful gift for me to be able to do. So that's taking priority at the moment to some of my Tarot aspirations. So that would be my answer to that question. And then on the heels of that, tarot decks that I want to work with more in 2018, and certainly more of my PIP decks. So Pagan Otherworlds, Ophidia Rosa, the Jodorowsky Marseille Tarot, the Cour de Tarot Key, some of those decks that I have, to begin working with those as part of my practice of working with PIP decks. Oracle decks that I want to work with more in 2018. So now we're on day 11. So one of the decks, two decks that I have been working with intuitively for the last couple months have been the Arcana of Astrology and the Compendium of Constellations. And I want to continue working with those, and in a way to also revive my childhood and teenhood, teenage love of astronomy. So working with those decks as a way to re-enliven that love of mine. So, even just recently, as maybe I pull certain cards, I start to explore with certain stars and constellations, a little bit more about them. So I want to work with those decks in that way. And then also to work a bit more, include more in my work the soul cards, which are I received soul cards 1 and 2 really a while back, and as soon as I received them, I was like, oh, I was very moved by them, and I'm not really quite sure what happened. It just wasn't meant. It just wasn't the time for them, and I became much more involved with some of the new tarot decks I had been acquiring, and so those got put a bit on the back burner, and I have them out in my more formal, active working area now, and I'm looking forward to rotating those in more. And then I did pre-order the Supra Oracle, which isn't coming until March, so I have some time to dig my heels in or sink my teeth into some of these other things. Only so much, not only time in a day, but only so much I can digest at once. So when that arrives, hopefully I will have my grounding in some of the other decks that I'm looking forward to incorporating more, and then onto the Super Oracle. Hopefully I'll be entranced by it. It's always a little bit of a chance one takes, well, with anything in life, right? When you order an indie deck. And then day 12, what started me reading tarot, and why do I continue reading? So reading really became somewhat of a natural evolution in my seeking, in my spiritual seeking. And I think because I am very visually stimulated, it just became something very natural for me to gravitate toward as a tool for seeking. And that's probably also the long and short of why I continue reading and continue using the tarot. It is something that's woven its way in and out of my practices over the last 20 years. And certainly in the last 2 years has woven its way back in more firmly into the fabric of all of my practices, and in a way becoming one of the main threads now, because of all the changes in what my practices, of all the changes in my practices over the last couple of years. So I look forward to that continuing to evolve as time moves on, and the constant unfoldment of one's self and one's psyche, and to also be able to sit in witness and in honoring of that for others through this as a medium is something that I'm simply called to do. So that's what keeps me reading. Day 13. What was the most memorable tarot moment in 2017? And for this, I'll actually put a link below to one of the videos that I did in early November, one of the YouTubes I did in early November. And I was, it was a day when I was holding some questions in my mind and in my heart. And I was working with the cards, and some gift was shown to me in the cards, and then not more than, you know what, now I'm even forgetting, which maybe that's like the best of all moments, the most organic of all moments. I am forgetting what came first, if it was the card that mirrored something that happened, or if I threw the card and then I had a confirmation of it. But either way, it was a magical moment, no matter which one happened first. But the card and the situation were in complete harmony and synchronicity, and it was an absolute magical moment for myself. I'm not going to say that I had any particularly magical moments in readings with others in 2017, and maybe that's largely because I don't, at the moment, do a lot of readings, just like actual readings, 3-card readings or 5-card readings or whatever. I use the cards more as a layering process for the coaching work that I do with others. And so it's a piece of that puzzle rather than me telling a full story in offering readings in that way. It's not that I don't offer readings like that. It's just not something that I've had the energetic or physical space to open up to that much. And perhaps that will unfold for me a little bit more in 2018, which would be wonderful, both to have the energy to do it and to have people have the desire to do it with me. So it will be revealed as time goes on. And so I think that that's as much as I have to catch up on, at least prepared. I could answer 14. What is my favorite divination tool outside of tarot? So day 14, which, is that today? Oh no, that's tomorrow. Oh, so I'll be a little bit ahead. My favorite divination tool outside of tarot. I really don't have another divination tool outside of the cards. I am very interested in exploring the runes a bit, and I certainly douse a little bit, but this is my main divination tool. And I scry and work with fire a bit, so but I don't have any formal name or anything to go along with that, but I very intuitively work with scrying and work with fire, and I feel like that's probably an ancestral leaning, and that's something that I'm exploring much more. In my 20s and 30s, I did a lot of work with shamanic journeying, and that is something that I include somewhat, or unfolds, I should say, somewhat organically in some of my meditations. and certainly is showing up a bit more in the last year with some of the ancestral exploration work that I'm exploration work that I'm involved with. So although I don't necessarily consider that a divination tool, perhaps some of you might, so I'll share that that's definitely part of my practices. And so that's it for days 8 through 14 of hashtag 31 Days of Tarot, offered by Ethony. And as always, I have gratitude for this tribe, this community, and until we meet again, be well.